purpose of this video is to formally introduce this idea of concealment percentages. So what if you could find the perfect size concealed carry gun for you with nothing but a measuring tape? So about this time last year, my husband and I were messing around with our concealed carry setups, and at the time he was carrying a Glock 34 with iron sights, and I was, and kind of still am, carrying a Glock 48 with an optic. And we realized that proportionally, it kind of looked like my much smaller Glock 48 looked much bigger on me than his Glock 34 did on him. So we decided to do some measuring to see if the Glock 48 actually was bigger on my frame than the Glock 34 was on his. We measured both of our guns from the bottom of the magazine to the top of the slide or the optic, and then we measured the space between our hip bones across the front of our body. Once we did that, we divided the hip measurement into the gun measurement to get a percentage, which revealed that the Glock 48 in fact takes up more than 60% of my hip-to-hip distance, whereas the Glock 34 only takes up about 50% of his. That meant that for somebody my size, the Glock 48 is actually bigger than the Glock 34 is on someone my husband's size who is 5'10", about 175 pounds. So once we kind of realized this, we thought it would actually be a really beneficial thing to kind of do some more research on. And so we actually developed a concealment study that I asked a couple of different Facebook groups as well as my Instagram followers at the time to participate in so that we could kind of gather more information from different people and their body types compared to the guns that they were carrying. In the study, we compared the gun's height, length, and thickness to the concealed carrier's hip-to-hip distance, height, and waist circumference. Unfortunately though, we didn't really design the questions very well, so the results didn't wind up being very usable. Although just because that study didn't yield very useful results, I think that we can still use this information to our benefit, and that's why I want to put it out there so that you guys can have this video to reference so that you can do these measurements for yourself and determine kind of what level of difficulty you're signing yourself up for with any particular handgun. The dimension we found that makes the biggest difference in ease of concealment is the ratio between the height of your gun from the bottom of the magazine to the top of the slide or optic, and the distance across the front of your body between your two hip bones. If your gun takes up too much space, it will start to run off your body and require very aggressive concealment mechanics and clothing choices to conceal it well. You can make this calculation for yourself by measuring the height of your gun as well as your hip-to-hip distance, and by dividing your hip-to-hip measurement into your gun height measurement. This should tell you what percentage of space your gun is occupying between your hips. So based off of these calculations, as well as some early polling done in the PHLster Concealment Workshop on Facebook, John and Sarah over at PHLster came to the conclusion that you're going to want your gun to sit between 30 to 40% of your hip-to-hip distance so that it's going to be able to fit in your concealment sweet spot and produce relatively carefree concealment. Once you start exceeding that 40%, you're going to start dealing with a little bit more trouble with concealment, and you're going to have to start using more aggressive concealment mechanics and clothing drape to hide your gun more efficiently. There are some other relevant measurements like gun thickness compared to overall circumference, but just note that a slimmer gun is generally going to be easier to conceal than a thicker one. This is especially true if you have a more athletic build. The purpose of this video is to formally introduce this idea of concealment percentages. For now, use this for the next time you're buying a concealed carry gun. Measure your hip-to-hip distance as well as the height of your gun, and use that to determine what level of difficulty you're signing yourself up for with that new concealed carry gun. Keep an eye out for more on this in the future. I think that there's a lot to be gained by doing more research on this, and hopefully we're just getting started. Thanks for watching this video, and don't forget to check out this video right here so that you can learn more about concealment mechanics and the best tools to help conceal your gun.